Welcome, everybody, to our board meeting this evening. We held a brief administrative session before the meeting. Board of Directors meetings are open to the public but are not public meetings. All school district residents who wish to make public comment should sign in prior to the start of the meeting and request to speak during citizens' participation. School district residents wishing to speak to the board shall do so only during the citizen participation section of the meeting. Public comment is welcome, and all issues will be referred to the appropriate administrator as needed. Comments will be summarized in the official board minutes, which will be available by contacting the business office. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. All right, and for our attendance this evening, Ms. Pratt is excused and everyone else is in attendance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to start with notices and communications. We have 3.1, our cash activity summary, 3.2, capital projects fund report, 3.3, our year-end projections report, and 3.4, which we'll talk about in a second. Does anyone have questions for 3.1 to 3.3?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Tom. Where's Tom? Well, there's Tom right there. Good to see you. Did you look at the year-end projection? The way I'm looking at it, we're about 3.5% deviation short between the revenue and the expenses.
And that's as of
June 30th.
Yeah, we have all the
Tom,
audit.
can you put your mic on, please? Sorry.
We have all the audit work to do.
Okay.
And also there's accruals for revenues and expenses, so that number will definitely change.
That'll change. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for 3.1 to 3.3? Okay, my microphone is on. Got it. So just a request for board members and people around the table with microphones to put them very close to your face when you're talking, if you don't mind. Would you like that to be repeated? Yes. Okay. Sure. Go ahead, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, the audit work still needs to be completed, and the accrued revenues and accrued expenses have not been included in that number. There is a statement on that report that says that it's as of right now. It's not after the audit, like the audit isn't complete yet.
Thank you. 3.4, notices and communications, is our student GASD board representatives introduction. We have two student board representatives who will be joining us shortly. Dr. Matzner, go ahead.
Yes, so we started a program at the end of last school year to have some elections at the high school to elect two student board representatives to join our school board. They are here today. So Ian and Rodrigo, if you guys like you guys to come up and step up to the mic, just give us a little quick sentence or two about yourself and introduce yourself to the board. These two gentlemen will be sitting at the board table starting at our meetings in September.
Okay, my name is Ian Goldman Smith. I'm 16. I'm a rising senior. In the school, I'm the captain of the swim team. I run cross country. I'm in all the honor societies and involved in many clubs around the school. I think I'm just really excited for this opportunity to try and bridge the school body and the school board, and excited to listen in today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hello, I'm Rodrigo. I'm also 16. I'm a rising junior. I'm involved in soccer and track and field, and as well as various clubs around the school. And yeah, I'm excited to give students a way to communicate with the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as I said, we had elections at the end of last school year for a rising junior and a rising senior to take these positions. And these gentlemen obviously won those elections and will be sitting at the table starting at our September board meetings. And at the end of the meeting, when myself and Dr. McFarland give our superintendent, assistant superintendent reports, we'll have student reports as well, so we can have an idea of what's happening in our buildings. So welcome, guys. Thank you.
Thank you both so much for being here tonight. Yeah. I look forward to hearing a little more about what's happening with the student body from our student body representatives next meeting. Thank you. All right, we are moving on to citizens' participation for this evening. We do have 11 people who have requested to speak. I'm going to remind the audience and board of our policy for citizens' participation. We have a total of 30 minutes allocated to this portion of the meeting. So what we would like to do to try and allow for people who have requested to speak is to keep everyone's spoken portion to 3 minutes and then just go over by a couple minutes to try and get you all in. So we'll be keeping that time to help, but just to give you a heads up, that is kind of the way this will be structured. Al, go ahead.
Thank you, President Broadway. And just real quickly before we start, Ian Rodrigo, welcome aboard. I've been asking for this for a long, long time, so I want to thank Dr. Matzer personally for making this happen, and Mr. Lusk and the high school team. Welcome aboard. We'll really value your input. As Alice said, we have several members, and we'd ask you to keep it to 3 minutes or less. We have a number of people that have the same topic, so if the person before you has already shared some of that information, maybe you could streamline a little bit. Our first people to the podium, we would ask Bill and Judith Bugert. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
We're from Freedom Township. We sent an email to the board on July 21st. We expressed our opinions then, and we asked for a reply to please tell us who the two board members were. We got no response, so that's why we're here today. With the limited information provided by the public and apparently Representative Moll, there are a lot of questions and concerns that we, the taxpayers, have concerning the total cost and related yearly school tax increases for the VOTEC building and property acquisition project. We find no numbers showing how many students the VOTEC school would provide for yearly. Currently, we see there are 200 to 240 students attending. There's another figure, 20%, that they say are rejected. 20% of what? And then they base the figures, they say, they're so ambiguous. We don't know. Is that the number of people we're paying all this money to educate? And how many years is that going to be? We do not know if you notice that when you drive around, the signs in yards indicating school taxes are unfair to seniors. Yes, people on fixed incomes are struggling to pay yearly increases in regular school taxes, much less current proposed cost VOTEC school and acquisition building costs. Let's talk about these expenses. I'm looking at the ACTI sign or website long-term planning section. It states that there are no formal commitments from ACTI industry partners whether they will support the project with money, donations, or equipment, as they're waiting to see if the school districts are going to fully support the project. The school districts have expressed concern about how much our industry partners will support us, so equipment may be an additional cost. Proposed staffing shows 22 personnel whose salary, pensions, are additional costs to the land acquisition and building expenses. This would compromise 80 to 85% of the operating budget for salaries, plus yearly maintenance for building and equipment, energy costs, and insurance. Does the cost of the building acquisition and does the cost of the land acquisition and the building include studies that have to be done, or an architectural costs, or just building and material? Then there are the costs of future school renovations, new equipment costs, and the proposed stadium project. For questioning, appreciate that you recognize that we taxpayers are not ATM machines. We have budgets. We have to stay within them, and we would ask that the school board do the same. There is a current 2026 3.5% school tax increase and subsequent tax increases to include. Do the voting members have the details on the actual cost of the proposed facilities to taxpayers, since it appears the details were discussed in executive meeting of the ACSD? We assume you, the board members, are taxpayers, too, and will be affected by these costs and subsequent yearly increases. If these courses are so important, then it seems to us...
Judith, if you would finish your thought there, thank you.
Okay, can my husband finish? He's on here.
That's highly irregular, but we're going to give him a minute.
Okay. It's just, that's all I have left.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, and we have letters too. You want to tell them?
I'm going to pass out a copy of this to all the board members. So
Thank
that
you.
There's a lot of information we're presenting, and as you can see, we're a little bit upset over the proposed cost of the ACTI. I've seen estimates that are vastly different for how much it's going to cost. But we want to let you know that we support the ACTI concept. It's just not the full building land acquisition. And there's easier ways of doing it. Representative Moole recommended using the hack facility, which we kind of like that idea. And if there's concern about the inability to accommodate 20% of the applications for the technical training, shouldn't we be equally concerned about the same amount of students will go without these programs for the next 3 to 6 years it takes to complete the building? We hope the board members assigned to the project will vote against the VOTEC property and land acquisition and new building. There are less costly, more timely alternatives available. The quality of the teachers makes the difference, not a brand new building.
Thank you so much, both of you, for coming in. I want to apologize for, you said you sent an email. I was searching through my email and did not see it, so if that was missed, I apologize. But thank you so much for coming in to share it. Yeah.
Thank you. Our next speaker would be Richard Schultz.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Schultz. My wife and I reside at 338 Rustic Wood Drive, which is located in the famous community, the Golden Goose, Amberbrook. Anyways, I'm here to protest or give my feelings on the 3 subject matters you're going to cover tonight. One is I'm against a team room for the football team and observation deck at a cost of $2.4 million. I'm also against the Act 1 building and the land acquisition. I'm figuring from what I've been seeing, and I watch your broadcasts and things like that, Gettysburg, this school district, under contract or something, is responsible for 35.56% of the contract. Now, if I heard the magic number is $70 million for the construction of the building, geez, that doesn't include the land, the equipment, the teachers, the piping, and everything else associated with that. It is a fair estimate to guess that that building will cost at least $100 million. That would mean that Gettysburg School District, your payment, our payment, would come out to roughly $35,560,000. You'll be taxing us, our children who reside here, and even our grandchildren for something that only, if I believe this to be correct, there are I'm going to tell you how many students are in this program. 83 students from Gettysburg are enrolled in the ACT program at the present time. I'm against the football team, their separate little headquarters, because there's 41 players on the football team right now with 5 staff members. Now, if I understand, that's $2.4 million, and the idea is that includes all your freshmen, your JV, your varsity, and everything else. What about the regular student that comes to school and wants to do other programming? You promised as a board, when we went in the hole, that you would look at everything was on the table to manage and cut. I haven't heard anything being cut. I haven't heard of anything being consolidated. We, as taxpayers, have to live within our means. So do you. If you have children that attend the school, good for you. If you don't, you're a cash cow also. And I personally don't like being a cash cow.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. I apologize. It's the 3-minute mark. If you would like to leave some of those comments with us, you can as well. Okay.
I've done that before, and I've never received a response. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Richard. Next, we have Charlotte Jurasinski. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Correct. I have a letter as well that I'll leave with each member of the school board. Mine is certainly going to be over 3 minutes. My husband could finish reading it. Yes? No?
I don't think he signed up. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, then I'll cut, because originally I was going back to the Articles of Agreement for Establishment and Operation of the Adams County Technical Center dated August 29, 2019, that I believe was executed sometime in February 2020, which would lead me to believe that we're already headed underwater with this project with no finite estimate of the total cost. I implore you not to take this any further and to rethink the entire concept. The United States government is $40 trillion in debt. They're saying it takes $1.2 trillion each year just in borrowed money to pay the interest. Pennsylvania's not in great shape either. And their expenditures are routinely exceed the revenue. Even as of May this year, it was reported that on average, only 55% of adults in the United States have 3 months in their savings for emergencies. We, the taxpayers, cannot begin to afford this venture, no matter how much anyone would like it. What makes it worse, it's been pursued for years now, and we're already bound to commitments that we're going to be paying into the future. I read the Chamber of Commerce and members of the business community have been included in discussions on this project because of interest that they have for their needs. I would suggest that they need to take a bigger part in this, where the internships, where the apprenticeship programs, even scholarships for advanced training for those deserving students. I saw recently a supporter, Julia Booz, talked about that we were going to get $700,000 in other people's money, $500,000 from the bond from the county commissioners, and $200,000 that the owners of this property would give back to the County Community Foundation to benefit ACTI after settlement. She went on to say she looked upon it as an investment because if we purchased the land, we could lease the asset, and if ultimately we decided not to build there, we could sell the land, and those funds could be used towards the cost of renovating existing facilities. An investment? If I can't afford something that I would like to have but I do not need, I most often will do without. I can consider financing or saving, but I can't put my hands in the pockets of someone else to do it. I've been paying taxes, school taxes, real estate taxes for 57 years. Personally, I think that's long enough. And don't misunderstand me for a second. I totally care very much about the futures of our children in Adams County. But how many years will be enough? Until the day I die? I see too many people like myself every day who are forced to get a job of any kind just to make ends meet because they're now a widower. I'm a former widower myself.
Yeah.
I know.
Thank you, Charlotte. Time's up. Thank you. Next, we have Marty Kelly Miller.
I'm an old dog from Adams County. I was born here. I was raised here. I graduated from high school here. I believe in the trade, we called them trade schools when I was in school. I went to one for 2 years after high school. I then somehow, in 1970, got in the real estate business. So I understand expenses. I own many investment properties. And I watch some of the older people struggle. I watch some of the younger people. I've had 2 in the last 30 days. Could not qualify for a loan because of the expense. Big part of it, taxes. I believe in this project, but I believe there's an alternative way to do it as opposed to buying that piece of ground. I'd love to sell you that piece of ground if I was the realtor, but I don't believe in buying that piece of ground and building the thing that you're talking about. We've got choices. Littlestown School District's voting tonight. A friend of mine's on that board. They got a 77,000 square foot building on 4.68 acres in the borough of Littlestown with the community park next door. They got a big cafeteria on the end. They got a gymnasium on the other end, single story. The center is 3 stories, classrooms. Those big rooms could be used. They could be retrofitted. I'm told they're not going to pass this. You always get surprised, but that's what I'm being told. This is a possibility. And I've heard about Hack. Let me tell you about Hack. In 1996, a Friday night, I was at Creekside Condo Complex in this much water in the hallway because the Tiber backed up with a raft hauling little old ladies out. Charlie Sterner, high school classmate, borough manager, the next day I met with. You know why that happened? You know why Hack flooded? It flooded because there's a beaver dam in the Rock Creek where the Tiber hits Rock Creek. They caught beaver, they trapped beavers. A 40-pounder was the record, by the way. And C.E. Williams was hired by the borough once a year to go out there and dredge out any obstacle in there. Now, I hear it flooded. It flooded. 90s, in the 90s. How many times has it flooded in the last 25 years? None that I know of. That building's a viable project. And if you really look, I'm sure you'll find more. But to go down there and buy that piece of ground and build to the numbers I'm hearing, and I believe in it for the kids, I honestly do. But I watch the young first-time home buyers aren't going to make it with this tax increase. The budgeted older people are going to struggle. And you don't realize how much economic effect this is going to have on our area.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. That's the end of your 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm not here to sell you anything. I don't know if I have enough. I have 10. So if some people want to share, please share.
Marty, this seems like a typical real estate agent person. All right. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Yeah,
our
I'll
next
make sure
our
we
next
get
speaker is Casey Lombardi, I believe.
It's Cassie. I'm concerned about the $70 million plus Act 1 project that was proposed at the last school board meeting. We weren't able to ask any questions. We weren't able to get really any kind of clarification on it. Acquiring land and constructing a brand new building is extremely excessive in light of the other options that would be less costly. For instance, renovating the Hack building should be considered a viable option that would be much less costly, allow for use sooner, and would be less punitive to the taxpayers in Gettysburg and the other school districts that would be benefiting from the Act 1 project. There should be a way to provide students training and hands-on careers without constructing a brand-new building. School board members who are ultimately elected by members within the community should be able to balance the needs of the students within a budget that does not raise taxes every year on taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cassie.
Victor Lombardi.
I'm here tonight to reiterate some comments that have been said and to say ditto, basically, to most of the things that have been projected to you or proposed to you. There's options. And the impression, I think, for most people and it's tough to speak for people, but I think you can see the number of people here, which is representative of the people that are opposed to this concept, is that we're, as the one man said, as Mr. Schultz said, I believe, we feel like cash cows that you can dip into whenever you want. We feel, I believe, I think most of us feel like you don't take into consideration the impact it has on taxpayers who are struggling with the affordability issue that it's like to be bandied about, on everything that they purchase and everything they have to support. So we would encourage you to consider these things and mention that we're in opposition, or most of us, I think you'll find, are in opposition to the purchase of this property and to the continuation of this proposed project, and that there's other viable options available to you, and you need to seriously consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Next is Pat Furlow.
Good evening. My name is Pat Furlow, and I'd like to present my thoughts for your consideration. I have addressed this board several times in reference to tax increases you were proposing, starting at 1% the first time I was here, to 1.5% the second time I was here, and now you're up to 3.5. Increases designed to fund the ACT building you and 4 other school districts are planning to build, along with other local projects that you have here at the school. Any normal citizen looking at this at the end would consider that you've raised it 3 years in a row, you're going to continue to raise it into the future to satisfy the projects that you want to satisfy. The ACT is a good program for students who do not wish to follow continued education into a college degree. But do you really know how many of the students applying for these programs really do want to learn a trade and not just attend a class outside the classroom setting? Students should be required to answer a questionnaire carefully put together that would identify which students really should pursue an occupation in the trades. ACT courses should be based on student participation in previous years. Questionnaires to determine desired classes and which courses based on enrollment need to be eliminated. Hands-on labs for only a few students is a waste of our tax dollars. To cut down the cost of the 140,000 square foot new brick and mortar building, we should look into virtual classrooms instead of brick and mortar buildings. By using a combination of virtual learning and hands-on instruction in a training facility could cut costs considerably. Building new ACT building the size of the existing ACT building to the other side of the high school would balance the look of the existing building. 7 courses in one building, 7 courses in the other building, and you'd end up with the 14 total courses that you want. This would be less costly to the taxpayer, cost less to the future to operate due to bus routes not having to be disturbed, and give students less downtime on buses. Maintenance and upkeep of the building would be centralized. ACT hands-on schedules should be used. You should use the entire school day for hands-on training, rotating classes through the day to make the best use of the building. Bus times might have to be altered, but still less expensive than what is proposed. I've been told because Gettysburg Area School has more special needs students compared to other school districts, that is why we find the great student-to-teacher ratio when we go to look for it. But
Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
Pat, just a point of clarification. Last year, you had mentioned 3 years in a row we raised taxes. Last year, we had a 0 tax increase. And over my 8-year tenure on the board before that, we had an average of less than 1%, an average of less than 1%. Thank you very much.
Based on what I was here to see.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Era T. Bend. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
No, but my husband of 40 years doesn't either, so go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Areti Bond. Nice try.
I was pretty close.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to voice my concerns about the proposed funding commitments to build a new technical institute for the Gettysburg Area School District. To set my record straight tonight, I totally support the need to provide our students with state-of-the-art training in the 14 areas defined in the proposal. These areas present the needed skilled labor in our communities, and providing this labor force will assist our young people with the ability to obtain stable, well-paying jobs that equip them to build their bright futures. I also believe that it is my responsibility to pay reasonable school taxes, even though I have no children. That being said, I find it very disturbing that the school board appears to be ready to sign an agreement to encumber between $70 million and possibly upwards towards $100 million to build this new technical institute when, number one, the current fiscal condition of the Gettysburg Area School District is concerning. The 26-27 budget projects a slight deficit. Funds had to be transferred from the school capital budget to balance the operating budget. The millage rate was approved at an increase in 3.5%, and an increase to the millage rate for the years 27 to 29 budgets are likely to require 3.5 increases as well. Policy requirement states that the school board must currently maintain reserves between 6 and 8% to ensure financial stability. According to your budget manager or your business manager, the school board does not currently meet this requirement. In order to address anticipated future deficits, the business manager has suggested not replacing retiring teachers, reassigning staff to cover priority needs, not funding the capital reserve account, cutting positions and services, and auditing students' residence to assure they live in the district. And most importantly, there are feasible, cost-effective alternatives that should be seriously considered. As an elected official, I believe it is your responsibility to manage our money responsibly. Encumbering millions of dollars that we don't have is not being responsible. Alter the plan. Look at the available parcels of land and buildings that can be retrofitted to fit the purpose of housing the Technical Institute or divisions of the Institute. It might not be as shiny and flashy as the plan for a new facility, but it might meet the purpose without putting our system under additional financial pressure requiring yet another tax increase. Acknowledge that all proposed 14 disciplines may not be housed in the same building. This potential increase in staffing needs for supervision and management will be negligible compared to the price of this proposed project. Be creative. Establish a jobs program to hire the students who have been or are currently being trained in the areas needed for the development and alterations to existing buildings to make them fit this person.
Thank you, Ms. Bond. Yeah, we're at the end of the 3-minute time.
Thank you.
Is that a requirement or is that a desired?
No, I am glad you asked that question. I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning. So our policy for school board meetings that does exist in our policy documents is that the citizen participation total time is 30 minutes. I apologize, 30 minutes total for all speakers. So rather than keeping it to, so normally there's a 5-minute limit, I think, per person, but rather than having a 5-minute limit and then not letting some of you speak, we decided to change it to 3 minutes and go over by 3.
I think that's a disservice to your public.
Well, we can make note of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I think we have a friend of yours, Bill Bond. What do you do?
I'm the guy that can't pronounce either T, so I just call her T. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I would like to address my concerns about the Gettysburg Area School District budget and projected expenses. School tax is my largest annual expense. In fact, it's larger than my real estate tax and my homeowner's insurance combined. The current school's budget for 26-27 school year was projected to have a deficit, but was balanced with a movement of some funds from the capital budget and an increase of 3.5% school tax. In recent budget meetings, I heard the district business manager project budget deficits for the coming years. Now, we have to add to these projected deficits the possible spending of up to $70 million to build a new technical institute. Approximately 35% of that debt burden will fall on the Gettysburg area residences and businesses. Add to this indebtedness 35% of the technical institute's annual operating costs. When you look at the potential debt, there's good possibility that increases in the millage rate will have to occur for the foreseeable future, anywhere from 1% to 4.2%. This is an enormous tax burden for the Gettysburg area residents and businesses. I believe if these millage rates increase into the foreseeable future, it might cause area residents to consider moving out of the area. I believe that the annual school district's expenditures have to be seriously reviewed to see where cuts and consolidations can be made. Relative to the proposed technical institute, there must be better alternatives to building a $70 million building. The school board is facing some exceedingly complex decisions that will require courage and determination to solve these potential budget problems in indebtedness. I hope it does so by balancing the needs of the students and the concerns of its residents.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we have Alicia Pozlowski.
I was here last month, and when I asked the question about the hack and the program, no one was aware of what was there. I have no idea how many of you ever went over to find out, but others have reiterated how valuable a piece of property. In addition, all the parking spaces that's there. And for it to be underutilized is so disappointing. Since the chamber was mentioned, I spoke last time, 22, 23, at that time, 65 and older, was 30.3%. And 5 to 24, it's less than that. So why are we, in the words of what was written in the Gettysburg Times, and I don't see anyone here taking notes tonight, so I guess there's going to be nothing in the paper regarding this, but why do you want a Taj Mahal? When you have 5 school districts, and in the paper, whether or not it was an error or what are the real numbers, but when there's a projected number of graduates for each one and a 20% number is thrown out, well, for 7 programs, what does that really amount to? And I went to the high school, and I don't know if everyone is aware of this, and I learned that basically it's for juniors and seniors, and they spend half a day there. So the idea of all this money, when there might be some buildings available that can be retrofitted, it just doesn't make sense to put that tax burden on those of us who it's really becoming a challenge. So I hope you take to heart everything that has been said by those, and I will say, as the woman said so eloquently, that it's a disservice. If someone doesn't have 3 minutes, let someone else use that time. And if their husband didn't sign up, but he's here, give him that time. And I have no idea when it comes to, when I saw Fairfield, the Times had, they were spending $117,480, yet Gettysburg, approximate, is $427,000. 4 times that would be $469,000. So, I mean, What a huge difference. Why wouldn't Fairfield say yes? But us here in Gettysburg? So thank you. God bless. One and all.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, Alicia. And our last person who is asked to address the board is Catherine Yoroshuk. Thank you.
In Ukrainian, Yaroshuk is good. I'm speaking from the heart. I have no letter. First of all, thank you, truly, for your service. Like, this is citizenship happening. My kiddo went through this school district. Thank you. She's successful out in the world. I wanted to speak to the team room. I live and work in Gettysburg. I am not speaking on behalf of my workplace, but I work for Children and Youth Services. So I'm coming actually with more of a human perspective. The team room. One of your team said this is just for a few of a larger school population. It just increased because of a delay of the building, and I think that might be a blessing. But almost $2.5 million could be used for, in my perspective, from our Children and Youth Services, mental health is for parents as well as their children is off the chain. You know this. Educators, you're in the building living this every day. But $2.5 million, other schools have hired professionals, increasing counselors, social workers, psychologists. I'm just throwing out alternatives to spending money on a team viewing platform. Substance abuse and behavioral intervention. There are so many evidence-based. You can do your own research, but there's just so much more bang for our buck, and mental health is absolutely rising. It's not getting any better. And then to Adams County Technical Institute, for what so many are saying here is to use an existing footprint, but I will also come back to this concept of building will be 4 or 5 years. In our system in Children and Youth Services, I know true stories of some of your young adults in your classrooms who have been able to change the direction of their life, their trajectory, because they entered the Adams County Technical Institute. So if we can get something up and running quicker than having a building project, there's youth in our system right now who are could sink their teeth and get some traction by getting a trade. So I just plant that seed of the human factor of we want to touch as many of our youth and families as we can and help them have a future. The team room is not it, and the building project is not it. Right now, it's the faster solution for our youth to get more youth into the program and have a trade is really important. I can tell you from where I sit, Children and Youth. I truly thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our speakers for coming in and sharing that time. We'll make sure that the documents handed to us get to everybody if there weren't enough copies. We're moving on to our routine approvals. We have 5.1, the agenda, 5.2, the financial report, 5.3, the approval of the athletics handbook, 5.4, independent contract for a psychologist, and then 5.5, the human resources recommendations. Do I have a motion to take 5.1 through 5.5?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments on 5.1 to 5.5?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Justine.
For the approval for the athletics handbook, I know what was agreed upon, but I'm just making sure, like, when I looked at it, page 13 and 14, was everything that needed to be updated? Because it looked like on page 13 there was still like the preseason grade report, and then page 14 had marking periods that end mid-season and end-of-year grading period, and were they updated?
Cody, I'm going to throw that over to you. Yeah, of course.
I believe the only thing we updated was the weekly grade report. A lot of that language for end of marking period is straight from the PIAA.
Yeah, I just worry that, like, because like we follow policy 123, that the verbiage it doesn't support that single change that was made. So I worry that maybe a few things were missed in the changes to approve it tonight, and I don't know how that works, but.
We can certainly go back and review. I know the really the only change that we discussed was the number of classes that you need to be passing all your classes basically, and that was what I sent out to the board as what we were going to change in the handbook. But if there's things that don't jive with the policy, we can go back and look at that.
Yeah, because I think it's just maybe it's a policy, that policy needs updated as well.
I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't looked at the policy or the athletic handbook, so I wouldn't know. Although I think we recently did 123. I think there was or a 0.1 or a 0.2 or something. But regardless, I wasn't asked to look at it. I can, yeah, if we need to.
So I'm assuming if we approve this existing handbook, that we can go back and look at those pages and bring them back to another meeting.
Correct.
Since school's getting ready to start, we don't want to not have a handbook.
Correct. We can look at the policy and adjust the policy if the policy needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, from what Justine is saying, it says it refers to the policy, so we want to make sure that policy is in line with that change in the handbook. Is that correct, Justine?
Yeah, it's the policy, but then it's also, I don't have it in front of me, but it's the preseason grade report and marking periods. They just don't match up with not failing courses for the change that we made. When you read it, it would still allow students to participate if they're signing and reading it word for word.
The way it's reading right now with the preseason, they'd be allowed to participate in the preseason, but then when they got to the weekly, then they would be not passing, because it says 2 failing grades in the preseason.
Got it. Yeah, I was going to say, Cody, do you see which section we're looking at? I think you may have pulled it up.
I can see, yep. I don't disagree with what they're saying after rereading it.
Okay, great. So I imagine that this, like Tim is saying, we'd like to get this approved, but hopefully with some edits to those to make them in line with that procedural change that we put in place before. And then if you would be able to also look at that policy just to make sure that it doesn't negate what we're changing in the handbook.
Yep, will do.
And I think the preseason part of it, considering when we're doing it and football's getting ready to start, really doesn't affect anything until it gets back to weekly, because we're not like in the middle school.
Correct.
Ryan, go ahead.
I would just really hope that we're getting this through to coaches in order to communicate it with students as quickly as possible as well, because it might be kind of cold water for quite a few of our students who are used to Skyward and some of our current assignment policies where people can hand things in pretty late. There's a lot of leniency. And if the weekly reports are what it's hinged on, then you're going to have students expecting that they can hand something in a couple weeks late and sliding below the threshold, and then they won't be able to play.
So I can comment on that. I know that with the assumption that the handbook would be approved this evening, because we made a change to passing all classes, we do have a meeting scheduled tomorrow, myself, the high school admin team, and Cody, to talk about the way that this will be communicated from our teachers to our coaches throughout the year. We're in a unique situation where a lot of our coaches are not teachers in the building. We have a handful, but not all of them. So we want to make sure that we are, making sure that our grades are updated and that we are, having our teachers or the athletic department communicate weekly to our coaches so we're aware of who is and is not eligible.
So I'm assuming that we can still vote on this, knowing that that is something that will be double checked to make sure it's updated in wording across the board, as long as the board members who brought that up are okay with that. And then whenever that is edited, if you don't mind sending a draft out or the handbook back out to us to look at, that would be helpful. Any other comments or questions on? Yep, Dave, go ahead.
Do we need to have a motion stating that the different sections, the preseason, the weekly, and everything aligns, and just say that that will be reviewed?
I mean, based on the conversation, the vote for a yes here, based on this conversation, your understanding for a yes is that it is with the incorporated changes.
Correct.
Right? So that, when we're writing the minutes, would reflect that a yes is incorporated the changes that you're directing Cody to make.
We're just ensuring that it is actually fully changed and edited that way.
And we can make sure that that happens tomorrow and can send that copy back out to everybody.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions on 5.1 to 5.5?
On 5.4, Dr. Matzer, Dr. McFarland, or Morgan, the need for the independent contract with the psychologist, is that due to the amount of requests that we have from our staff or from parents for testing for disabilities or those types of things?
It is due to the number of students that we are having requests for.
Okay. And will that be an LIU person or just?
This is a private contractor that we're working with to address those needs.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments on 5.1 to 5.5? Seeing none, we will take a vote for 5.1 to 5.5, accepting them with those changes that are made as well for 5.3. Donna?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We're moving on to our items for board action. We'll take all three of these separately with chances to discuss and review the information presented here. All three of these were on our information items last board meeting and had much discussion that we can kind of refer back to. We had our guests joining us as well for 6.3 for ACTI last week or 2 weeks ago. We're starting with 6.1. This is taking action on the bids for the team room for Warriors Stadium, and just to make sure that the board understands kind of what is happening with this particular motion. The motion would be, if you're looking, it lists that there's a couple of different ways that it could be motioned. So there's either a motion to accept or vote on the team room with all the add alternates. That would be the first bullet point on your agenda, or with only add alternates 3 and 4, which would be visitor bleachers and flagpole relocation, which is the reduced cost without the viewing platform and path there. It also states that our administration had expressed concern about safety, so their recommendation is to do it with only adults 3 and 4 for the project. So looking for a motion for 6.1, it could be either of those options.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with all alternatives.
Hearing a motion on the floor.
Second.
Okay, hearing a second. Are there any questions or discussion for voting on the team room with all add alternates?
I do.
Now would be the time.
I do.
Go ahead, Tim.
So just to, and based on some of the comments we had out here tonight, it is not, the team room is not just for the football team, Joe. it's for all our athletics that use that field. Also, it does have a brand new and place for the chip from the WellSpan thing to take care of our athletes when they get hurt, and so on and so forth. Also, the platform allows for, if you've ever been to one of our games, the home side is completely packed. There's no seating left. Considering that our band takes a portion, student sec takes up a portion, and then everything else is completely packed. And this is a way less expensive way to get more people to view the game than to adding new bleachers. And also part of this is, fixing the existing bleachers on the away side, which are in absolutely horrible shape. They really need fixed. So that's where I'm at with that.
I would just add that in committee, facilities and finance committee, years ago, when we started this conversation, we vetted this to the 11th degree. Tim brings up a few issues in addition to several other things that were discussed along the way. I guess the reason this is back on for a vote is because, I guess, because of us stalling a little bit, the prices have increased, so we have to rethink it, and certainly we're very much aware of that. But as I think it was Mrs. Pratt that mentioned, again, I have a lot of respect for what the last board did in vetting this whole process, and it was fully approved. So I'm going to support that tonight.
Any additional comments or questions? Dave, go ahead.
A couple of items. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to speak to this since I wasn't on the board until this year. The team room concept, I think the concept's a little bit like ACTE. It's a good concept. I believe that where it's being positioned right now is an ill-conceived location. You have the middle school, you have 2 locker rooms that are already there, you have a training room there, which is inadequate, by the way. I do agree with Al on that and Tim. To me, it should be extended from the existing infrastructure at the middle school, extending the existing locker room facilities and segregating them to the senior high, having the middle school with theirs, senior with theirs. There's an equipment room in the middle that has quite adequate square footage to put a training room. I was out there and I measured the size of the building, and I was able to go out from that building and not impede on the entrance to the football field. I believe building 3 walls with existing infrastructure instead of 4 new walls at some other location, taking infrastructure to it, is more prudent and more conservative and a better economy of scale. Secondly, I don't know that this is a project. I mean, we have what, 3.6, 3.7 million in the capital in that bond? In that bond. And we've determined that arbitrage isn't as bad as we were led to believe in the beginning, where we would be penalized if we didn't use the money. What you're penalized is you got to pay back the difference in the interest gained versus the interest obtained. So the 3.6 million is still there, 3.7. My opinion is if you built 3 walls and did the infrastructure off the junior high, you probably cut this project at least by 40%. That gives you other funds to do other projects that this school needs for other capital improvements. And I'm going to pass down to Cody from an athletic standpoint. Do you think the 2.2 out of 3.7 million we have is well spent?
So I agree with the idea of the training facility not being adequate. It is a middle school training facility for a varsity venue. I will say Chip and Lily, when she's over there, she's typically at the high school, maximize it the best that they possibly can. It's not adequate.
Thank you, Cody. Dave, did you have a follow-up question?
Well, it's not a question. It's just, I just believe that to reorganize this and look at building it off the middle school is more prudent than putting a separate edifice out in that field. Secondly, I'm contrary to Tim's point about observation. If you stand where that flagpole is and try to see through the goalpost, which I did, I'm going to be hard pressed that anybody's going to be able to see much of anything other than the end zone. So it's not really going to add to our spectator viewing. Thirdly, the administration wasn't that proponent of it to begin with. You're going to have to hire totally new security for that facility to be around it. So the expense of operating that instead of being attached to the existing facility, to me, is going the wrong direction.
Thank you, Dave. Ryan, I saw that you had a comment.
My comment is that I did support sending this back up for bid in the last time we voted on it, out of deference to the earlier board, and I did sit in on a lot of those meetings prior to coming to the board to hear the deliberations, which I thought were very comprehensive and considered a lot of the different angles. So in general, I'm very much in support of expanding our capacity here, but I've also now had a front row seat to the budget process and have seen the projections and implications that we have for our budget going forward. And I feel like I'm going to have to change my tune on the bid with this vote in order to impose some austerity.
Sorry, just to reiterate, the comment about Dave's comment about not being able to see through the stadium. I went to school here, and everybody sat on that hill and watched that game through those goalposts forever, and everybody loved it, enjoyed it. That hill has got taken away from everybody now for whatever reason. And two, adding that roof platform would not require any new security whatsoever. That is ridiculous. There's a huge stadium, and that's like 1,000 square feet, and we're not going to need more security for 1,000 square feet. So it wouldn't add anything in that respect. And the money for that project is already there, so it is not a tax increase for anybody to put that project in. So just so you all know that, it's not a tax increase to build this as well.
Does anyone who has not spoken yet have any comments or questions about 6.1? The motion on the table is for approving it with all add alternates. Donna, go ahead.
I just want to ask Dr. Matzner, do you agree that we don't need extra security with that platform?
I had said back when we were talking about this before that I felt that we might need at least one extra security guard to be up there in case anything were to happen on that security platform or on the viewing platform.
Any other questions or comments on the motion on the floor? Okay, hearing none, we're going to take a vote. The motion on the floor is to approve the team room bid for the cost with all add alternates. That's $2,409,150. That would include the viewing platform and pathway. Starting with Tim.
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Dave?
No.
Justine?
No.
Ryan?
No.
Donna?
No.
Okay, and I vote no. Now that has been voted down, there is an option there's still another potential motion if there is anyone that feels like making that one. So that would be, this is voted down, all add alternates, including the viewing platform. There is still an option to vote for the team room with only add alts 3 and 4. That would be the visitor bleachers and flagpole relocation, which is in line with the administration's recommendation.
So I have a question about that. No question.
I was curious. I think we have to probably make the motion before asking
Yeah, you should have a
the
motion
question.
on the table, and then you can ask the question about it. Yep.
From a legal standpoint. That last vote voted everything down.
That voted down the option of
all.
approving the team room with all add alternates.
Right.
That did not vote down the second bullet point option, should people choose to put forth the opportunity to vote on it with just 2 of the adults, which is 3 and 4. If that hopefully that is clear to people.
So no motion would be no movement.
No
forward.
motion would be no movement forward.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion for the team room with the adults 3 and 4, the visitor bleachers and flagpole relocation. So that is the team room without the viewing platform.
I'll second.
Okay, so discussion or questions on that? I will start. I think, I've been sitting through the team room information for quite some time. I think back when we first started the process, the need and concern for the services that are provided to students that are using that, all types of athletes that come to the field, that it was inadequate spacing, some of what Cody was just explaining, and particularly the training facilities that are needed for athletic injury that occur not being adequate, to me, raised a little bit of a red flag. So I do view this as something that is helpful to a larger group of students than is perceived at present moment. But back when we first talked about it, did not, what was in agreement with the administration's recommendation for maybe not including the viewing platform. So this is why I put it back on the table for that option, now that we're back up for rebid and looking at finding ways to spend less of that money, but still have that bond money available for projects as they are needed. Other questions or comments on our team room with adults 3 and 4?
I have a question about the visitor bleacher renovation. So I hear the motion for the team room with 3 and 4, which is the visitor bleacher and the relocation of the flag, correct? Or is there the option for just the visitor bleacher renovation? Or is this where I'm getting too far ahead of myself because we're talking about the team room?
So my understanding is at present moment, the options that exist are the ones that are on listed, and that we're not able to remove another adult separately from those 2 motions that are, or those 2 options that are there.
And I'm sorry, but I do believe the flagpole relocation was minimal. Like it was minimal. The bleachers were the most of that.
Yeah, but that's just part of the other option is 3 and 4.
Did that answer your question? Does anyone else have a comment or question on this second option?
Just, we've heard about other teams that may be taking advantage of the team room beyond football. I know that there's track that's out there, and I suppose soccer, but
lacrosse, field hockey.
Yeah.
Lacrosse, I could tell you this is, and at the time that they're playing, if the middle school has a sport that they're using locker rooms, the high school is not allowed in there. So you had kids that were changing in their cars to go to lacrosse or doing that stuff. All those kids need a place to come to change, to get ready for their sport, to go out. And they haven't had that option at all, because the middle school locker room isn't adequate for that.
But just would the team room then fill that need?
Yes.
I don't have an issue with a team room. I just think the location's incorrect. I think adding it onto the existing school, you could do it, you could expand it, and do it for a more conservative cost factor, and provide separated rooms and a better training facility.
And I know we did look at that as well. This was with locations of utilities, all that stuff was, because we're right over the utility, so it's easier to connect here.
And all the utilities,
saved our
sewer
money.
line and everything is right there at the school already. It's right there.
Not in that section.
Al, you
Yeah, I was going to say, the real sin is when we built the middle school that we did not build those facilities that would accommodate senior high students. Why that happened, I don't know. That's really frustrating. And
Kevin, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm curious because this feels like a conversation we had back with the last bid. So just trying to bring it back to light. As of to date on this project, money has been spent because you have to do that to go get design and go out for bid and all of this, the whole process. And it's been going on for a while. So do you know off the top of your head approximately how much money has been spent on this project to just prepare these options?
We're currently right around 100,000 with another 25 in design fees yet to go.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this item? Okay, I'm hearing none. So we'll take it to a vote. This time the vote is for approving the team room project with only adults 3 and 4, which is the visitor bleachers and flagpole relocation. It's $2,204,150. Takes away about $200,000 for room, not including the viewing platform and path. Starting with Al.
No.
Dave.
No.
Justine.
No.
Ryan.
No.
Donna.
No.
Tim.
Yes, because we need it.
And I vote yes. All right, so we have gone through both of those options and have not passed the project. So we will leave that there and move on to items for board action 6.2. That is our administration building HVAC project, and this is our hazardous materials consultant. This was explained to us at the last meeting, an information item, and is part of the process for renovating this building, but there's, asbestos and other things that need to be removed and need to be the abatement activities. There you go. Getting rid of the things that are bad. So administration recommendation is to award the contract listed here, and I'm looking for a motion for 6.2.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Any questions or comments on 6.2?
Just, I don't really see a sense of why PSI Intertech came in so much lower as a third of the other. Are we getting value on that?
That's it's not really apples to apples. Everybody goes about it a little differently with all the protections that are required. We work with PSI regularly, so I think it would kind of just they just bid us lower because they want the job.
Any other questions on 6.2? Okay. Seeing none, we'll start with a vote. Al?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, we are moving on to item 6.3. That's the ACTI land purchase resolution. And this we, again, discussed last meeting. And we had Mr. Kolstock and Dr. Payne come in to give us a lot of information about that process from ACTI and the building process that they've been looking at with their own board, the JOC Joint Operating Committee. So this is action for approving the resolution from ACTI for the land purchase resolution. My apologies. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, I'm going to second it. Are there comments or questions for 6.3? We have had much discussion on this, just looking to kind of clarify or ask questions as needed.
Yeah, I would agree with Alice. We've had a lot of discussion on this. Our liaisons to the JOC, Tim and Justine, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on this.
Go ahead, Justine.
Well, we meet next week. So since our meetings, I was hoping that we would have met before tonight, but we have not. So I don't have anything to share.
Well, and I can tell you that I see both sides of this thing, and I'm both ways on it, to tell you the truth. And I guess the only thing that leaves me on both sides of it is that, if we did purchase said property and we decided not to, or the collective, the school district decided not to build a building on it, that it would be a value asset and resell it later. I don't know if building a brand new facility at that cost is the correct option. But the problem is trying to do a project like this that has been discussed for however many years now, and every school district's board changes every 2 to 4 years, so you're reiterating, and you can't be done in a period of time where everybody's still on the same school board and can make a decision. So we keep going back and forth. I do think there could possibly be other alternatives, but until we explore those, also know what it was like to try to find a piece of property in Adams County and how hard that was, that would suit a building like this. So it's everybody's decision to make.
Tim, just for the public's, and even the board, I guess, is kind of information that might not know. I believe you have been the JOC rep for our board since that committee formed.
No, it was going on way before I got there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Got
been
it.
going
So how
on
many
for-
years have you been doing that?
This is just a little over a year, and it was Jeremy Davis did it for 4 years.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they were talking about it before that. So they've been looking for property for the past 4, 5, 6 years.
Right. Thank you for clarifying. Any other comments or questions on 6 point? Wait, I lost it.
3.
Thank you. 6.3. There it is.
I do.
Okay, Dave, go ahead.
So, as I had spoke previously, it may be an investment, the land, but if we go forward with the purchase of the land, they're going to go forward with the building of the building. Back when this first started, it was anticipated that it was not going to cost any district more than 30 to 35 million, all in. A&E, building, equipment, everything. That would be more palatable. But if it's 70 now, and I think the operating budget is around 4.3, 4.5 million. If it's 70 now and this doesn't get off the ground within 24 to 36 months at a 5% compounded rate, you're going to be above 80 in no time. As I said at the last meeting, based on the debt service and based on the operation percentage, it would cost this school district 9 additional mills to cover it. We don't have 9 mills. First of all, we can't do that because of regulation. So I don't know where it's going to come from. I believe a fit analysis on hack, an analysis on adding to our existing, and possibly initially you add on to our existing with metal fabrication, which the architect admitted it was $250 a square foot, including prevailing wage. If you can get 20 to 30,000 square feet out of what we have here, that puts you at $7 million for construction plus other factors. You're probably more around 10. You take hack, the number hasn't been established yet what they're selling that for. In fact, I text the past president, Ski, He's in Iceland right now. And I tried to get a tour through the new president, but he hasn't responded yet. We need a fit analysis on that building and figure out how to mitigate any anticipated water issue to that building. As they said previously, it's been 30 years. We had 10 inches of rain in 3 hours, 1996. That's going to flood anywhere. There's not much you're going to stop it with. But you need to figure out, can you barrier the back of that building to divert it away? So when I look at the cost factor of doing hack, retrofitting that, 98,000 square feet, adding on here possibly, I'm coming in around 40 to 45 million. It's a lot less than 80. So 9 mills isn't going to be possible. I don't care what you say. It just can't be feasibly done.
Thank you, Dave. Any other comments or questions on ACTI 6.3?
Yeah.
Al, go ahead.
Thank you. I think I'm with Mr. Seitz on this one. I'm looking at what's happening in Cumberland County at their Career and Tech Center. I'm looking at what's happening in Franklin, and they're all adding millions of dollars worth of facilities and new programs for their kids. Frankly, our Adams County kids deserve everything that they deserve in Cumberland and in Franklin County, and it's a shame that this wasn't dealt with well over a decade ago. So there's going to be some pain for a while if we're going to address this issue. I'm like Dave. I'm not against the land acquisition, but not until we've done a deep dive into whether or not that hack facility with our existing facilities can meet the accommodations that we would like to have with some expanded programs that are out there. I think once that's done and that's not going to be feasible, then I think we need to go back and really look at this resolution. And I'm hoping big companies like Kinsley and Conawaga Contractors and Hanover Architectural, once they see Adams County is serious about this, is that they'll jump on board and help us out. Those are a lot of unknowns. So I think I'm with Dave. I would really like to see us work with the company to help us do that deep dive and see what the fit analysis comes up with, and then bring this back and make a more informed decision. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
And I just have a quick comment. I'm concerned that if we approve the land purchase, that's the direction it's going to go, building a new facility and not looking at these other options.
So I'm not saying what I'm saying now to negate your concern at all. I'm just saying what I think is also important to remember about the process. The next, if there were to be a recommendation to build a building and go through and approve a building of a building project, that would still have to come back before every school board. So approving the land does not mean that we're saying, yes, ready, set, go, build a building now. That would have to be a separate approval.
Well, one point on that. But if you do the land, then the process is going to be they're going to take the soft costs and start designing something, and without looking at a fit analysis on hack and without looking at the possibility of expansion. So they're going to spend architectural and engineering fees. I'd rather take some of that money right now and find out what we can or can't do.
So I do have a question, and I feel like this is probably a good question for all people involved listening and following what's going on. When we talk about looking at the fit analysis of hack or the fit analysis of any other building for that matter, I don't know that I fully understand what the difference is between that and everything else that we know they have already looked at. Because it's my understanding, we had Crabtree and Rohrbach come in with Mr. Kolstock. We had Dr. Payne come in and talk about the process from, the steps that the JOC and ACTI as an entity has been taking to get this project up and running. And that included looking at hack as a building and looking at the space needed for programming and looking at transportation costs and all of these other things that go into it. So I think it's a good question, and I'm curious if it couldn't be answered. I don't know what the difference would be.
Alice, I may or may not have the answer to that. When you were out when you were out, we did have the gentleman from Crabtree Rural, I forget his exact position and so on. He did share with our board that he was not asked to do a deep dive, and that he would be willing to help us out and to do that if we cared to do that. They have done some surface level, I think, visitations and things like that, but nothing real intricate the way that we would want a true fit analysis, I think.
And that was one of the questions that had been brought to Tim and I to bring up at the next JOC meeting, which is not until next Wednesday. So that is on the list of questions that we're going to ask, because the other understanding is the fit analysis request has to come from the JOC. So I know one of the gentlemen we spoke to at the end of the last meeting, that is on the list of questions to ask if a fit analysis can be done.
It is just not something we as a board can approve for ACTI.
The fit analysis, meaning in order to say, yes, a fit analysis is going to happen for this, it's not going to be approved by this body. It's going to be approved by the JOC with representatives from all of the county school districts. I'll speak a little bit. I didn't want to speak before others if there's more to be said. I'll speak a little bit about my thoughts on this, where it stands after last meeting with all that information that we did have from Mr. Colstock and Dr. Payne. It sounds to me like the land purchase, right now, there is a fair amount of there is money in it that is not our money, right? There's a lot of grant money that can go towards that purchase in order to help alleviate the cost there, which is my understanding will not exist. Of course, will not exist forever. I don't recall when it is done. When?
The end of the year.
The end of the year. So the end of this calendar year is when those grants will not be available anymore.
My understanding.
And that is true for those grants.
No.
Well, then I'll finish what I have to say first. So to me, that is a very big incentive for getting land. I do believe that we have plenty of options to say again later, if we don't want a building project to be approved, that is something we have say in later. So I do not share the exact same concern that would mean an automatic building on that land. I do view it as an investment opportunity if we then wanted to sell it and didn't want to use it. So I don't think that prohibits us from doing a fit analysis of HAC. I would like to see that as well. And I know you guys are going to be talking at the JOC meeting coming up in a couple weeks. I had another thought. Let me think about what it is. My other thought is that this particular item has been vetted and looked at for quite some time. I know that there is more steps to that. I had an actual other good thought that totally left my brain. I'll think about it for a second, but I know that Dr. Massner also has something to say. So
I do,
I'll
but
hand the mic over.
I will wait if there's any other board members that have anything to say.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
My
Sorry, I
understanding
forgot.
from the commissioners is that you can apply for an extension for their grant.
I just have one final thought.
Sorry, we have heard that is not accurate.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, so this is, I guess, off topic from the extension, but I would just add that from my perspective, it seems as though we may be doing ourselves a disservice with this purchase in that relocating away from our district, we may end up, we haven't really seen the feasibility of it, losing some of our students participating and losing some of the value of the trained professionals in the trades being immediately in our area. I know that they will be within our county, but I think that I haven't heard yet a good answer for what we will be doing with the existing ACTI space. And I think that by giving that up or vacating it, even though we own it, will be us voting against our best interests.
I remembered the thing I was going to say, and this time I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. So the other thing that I remember hearing last meeting pretty clearly from Dr. Payne was that as it stands right now, we all have these different costs of a potential building floating around out there, right? There's this kind of scary $70 million number that's thrown out. And it's not coming from nowhere, but it is most certainly not a set in stone number. And the thing that I look at when I hear that information, what I was understanding last meeting is that in order to even figure out a budget for the building that would fit the needs of what our boards can actually provide, we need the land to even figure that out. So that was what was, I see some people shaking heads. I get it. Last meeting, that was something that was said. So I'm just letting you know what my understanding of that process was, that yes, it is a cost in the next step, but it is not, it is not, there's a way to still move forward with following steps in this project that keep that budget in mind and don't let it get to a big number, right? So Dave, you're putting out a lot of different potentials as well, and I know you've done your napkin math on it too, so I know it's not coming from nowhere, but I do want to stress that all of those numbers, until we're able to look at what can be built on land, sounds to be at least a little bit hypothetical, right?
I would disagree. I mean, the architect said, and I asked that specific question, what is metal fabrication versus masonry? Masonry is $500 a square foot. Metal fabrication is $250. Well, they're not going to build a metal fabrication on that land. So if you take a masonry building and put all the A&E, and they said they were charging 20% for overhead for A&E of the total project, we'll take $500 times 140,000 square feet, and you get $70 million. The math is pretty straight. So if it's costing $500 a square foot to build it, it's $70 million right now. It's not going to be $70 million in 3 years.
Again, that's based on keeping the plan at what we're thinking about right now, right? I think that's the thing that I'm looking at, is that there's still opportunities to look at the cost available for the boards that are involved moving forward and make adjustments as needed to make sure students are getting services. So that's just all of my thoughts out loud about what I've heard in the last couple of meetings, and I appreciate hearing all of the thoughts at this table because that helps add to it as well. Are there other board members that have other comments or questions about this, or if you're like me and you like sharing whatever's on your brain, just to make sure that that's part of the conversation? Okay. Yeah, Al? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Dr. Messner.
Yeah, I would just like to what I like to do is clarify the exact scope of tonight's vote, just so everyone is clear. We're strictly voting on the land acquisition. We're not voting on a $70 million or $30 million building, a $20 million renovation. The vote tonight simply authorizes ACTI to purchase property as a strategic asset and one that can be resold if plans change. Any future construction decisions will be determined later by the JOC and participating school boards. The sole focus right now is just this land purchase itself. Again, decisions on what a building will look like and how much that building will cost, the fit analysis, or anything further that we would need to vote on would have to go before the JOC and the participating school boards. Tonight is simply just about land acquisition. With that, I'd like to say that Dr. McFarland and I spend time at ACTI every week over this past school year. We visit all of our district buildings once a week, and we include ACTI in that. So we were at ACTI every week, both the ACTI building and the programs that are housed in our current high school. And we can see the incredible value that it brings to our students here at Gettysburg specifically. Unfortunately, capacity limitations force ACTI to turn away 20% of the students that apply. That's 20% of those jobs that are needed out there. We are telling those students they cannot participate in ACTI because there is no space. So securing the property is an essential step toward addressing that gap. Failing to do so resets our progress to where we were years ago, as Tim said, is this discussion that's been happening for a very long time. Financially, the Gettysburg Area School District has already set aside the required funds through our annual 1% tax increase that we've done over the last 3 years to use that money, or what would be our portion of that land purchase. AC Chow was also awarded $500,000 from Adams Response and Recovery Fund grant specifically for this acquisition, which, as we said, expires at the end of the calendar year. So given all of those factors, the district, and I'm only speaking for the district is in full support of the approval of this resolution for the land purchase. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matzner. So if there is no further discussion on this item, I'm hearing, and I know that this was something that happened maybe back in June as well. So there are options moving forward. If we vote down the land resolution approval today, then that's it. It is voted down. I'm also hearing from multiple people at the table that the feasibility study, that you may not be against the land resolution purchase, is just contingent upon the feasibility study of HAC. Correct me if I'm wrong. That sounds like what some people are saying as well. So I think if we were to vote it down today, then we would not, that would be that. We could approve it, or we could table it and remind me when that is. Let the
26th.
The 26th is, so next week is the JOC meeting where that could be discussed. Now, there is a possibility that the JOC board does not want the feasibility study on HAC and doesn't vote for it. So, and that meeting alone would not give us the answer to what it is that is there. So I'm not sure how long that process would be should JOC actually approve the feasibility study. But a reminder that those land grants also end in December. So those are all of my thoughts on the table there. I don't know if there's further thought on, voting on the motion on the table versus tabling it.
Just one quick question. I'm looking over, so it was on June 15th that for the agenda item, it was the same memo that we voted on.
Correct.
And I don't recall us tabling it. I think that it was voted down by the board.
Got it. Okay, I was not at that meeting. I forgot how that went down. So in that case, we are able to bring it back if that's something that we're interested in doing in the future. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Okay, so in that case, we may as well take it to a vote. Any other questions or comments before we do that? Okay, great. Starting with Dave.
No.
Justine?
No.
Ryan?
No.
Donna?
No.
Tim?
No.
Al?
No.
Okay, and I vote yes. So the motion does not pass, which means that we will move on. Thank you. We will move on to our information items. Starting with 7.1, I'm going to hand, we have a school board vacancy. I'm going to hand this over to Morgan so she can kind of explain the process. Mr. Dickerson resigned from his position last meeting, and now this position is open to be filled. Thanks,
Correct.
Morgan.
So there is a board vacancy position that is available. The district will be accepting letters of interest, statements of financial interest forms, and resume and curriculum vitae from interested eligible citizens within the Gettysburg Area School District to fill one vacancy on the board of directors. The term is for the position through November of 2027. Interested individuals can reach out to Ms. Belinda Wallen, our business manager. Her contact information is listed on the agenda. Public interviews of the candidates are tentatively scheduled to be immediately prior to the 7 o'clock board meeting on September 21st, 2026. And the deadline for materials is through 4 p.m. on Wednesday of September 16th.
Great, thank you. Hopefully we get lots of people who are interested in joining this kind of a body, and not all the meetings are as long, I promise. Sometimes they are. We look forward to hearing who applies. 7.2 is our GASD feasibility study proposal. Dr. Matzner.
Yes, just as an information item, we are working with Crabtree Robot to do a full district-wide feasibility study on all of our district's buildings and properties.
Thank you. Moving on to our two committee reports, if there are reports to be had. Our PSBA legislative update from Al.
No report tonight.
Thank you. And, well, we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah,
Tim?
we won't
ACT.
have one today, but we will have one next meeting.
Great. Thank you so much. That meeting, for those that are interested in attending, again, the JOC meets separately from all the county school board meetings. That's happening on the 23rd of August, so next week. Where does that happen, Tim?
26th.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My numbers, it's
You
late
don't
in the
teach
evening.
math, do you?
Through music, yes. All right, yes, on the 26th. Thank you. And now our program reports. Dr. Metzner.
Yes, thank you. So a few shout outs that I want to give. We welcomed all of our teachers back last Thursday, August 13th, with a opening day celebration at the middle school. We introduced all of our new staff members at each building. We recognized several staff members that reached 30 years of service. And we recognized one particular staff member, John Colgan, from the high school, who is entering his 35th year of service with our district. So we congratulated him. We did give out several awards that morning. We had two winners of the Hunt Award for Outstanding Classified Staff. Those award winners were Emily Firestone and Tracy Flores, both work out of our admin building. And we also awarded the Unger Award for Outstanding Teachers to one elementary teacher, Jessica Spinks, and one secondary teacher, Kelsey Ridinger, were given those awards. So it was a great celebration on Thursday morning last week. During that celebration, we also, I presented, did a quick opening day presentation to the staff. I shared with everybody our theme for this school year. Our theme for the school year is defining our future together. Part of that theme is the introduction of two initiatives that I have planned for us throughout the year. The first one is the development of our Portrait of a Warrior. This portrait will serve as a unifying framework that defines the skills and attributes of every student should possess upon graduation. It'll be a living document that guides our instructional practices, our curriculum design, and our student experiences, and will reflect our district's mission and values of the Gettysburg area community. The second is the creation of what we're calling the Portrait of the Warrior Staff. This portrait is designed to define what it means to be an educator or employee in our district, because if we're clear about what we want for our students, we also must be clear about the practices and commitments that will get them there. So over the course of the year, we're going to work together. We're going to include staff members, students, families, community members to answer two fundamental questions this year. One, what should define the warriors who graduate from our schools? And two, what should define the warriors who help make that possible? So we'll be sending some things out, some emails out to community members to ask for volunteers to join our committee to work on developing our Portrait of a Warrior. Work on this has already begun. We did send a survey out to all of Gettysburg staff on opening day to help us define that Portrait of a Warrior staff. With over 400 staff members, I was happy to see that. As of earlier this afternoon, we already had 210 responses, so just over 50% of our staff are already on board. So once we get the year underway, we'll be reaching out to the community to join us in developing our portraits. I think it's going to be a real exciting project and something that's going to kind of hold with our theme of defining our future together. So be on the lookout. The only other thing I want to mention is that we are very excited to welcome all of our students back in 2 days' time on Wednesday, August 18th. We also did give a shout out on opening day to our facilities crew for the work that, the 19th, did I say 18th? 19th, thank you. To our facilities crew for the work they did all summer long through the heat and everything else to get our buildings looking like they're looking. Everything looks terrific, and we are ready to bring our students back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. McFarland.
As Dr. Matzer noted, our teachers started back last week. We had a great kickoff with our new summer academy programming and other professional development offerings, which continued today. Over the next week and a half, we have numerous back-to-school events across all of our buildings, so please check out our website for further information. Hope to see you there.
Thank you so much. We're excited to get another school year off the ground with students in a couple of days here in Gettysburg. So thanks for all your work and teachers in preparing ahead of time. Our calendar of board events, our next meeting here in the boardroom will be on Tuesday because of Labor Day, Tuesday, September 8th at 7 p.m. Could I get a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Thank you.